What's up, guys? Today it's a windy day. We're at the range. I'm going to test out pellets, 177 pellets versus slugs. I'm going to shoot paper plates. What I want to try to do is get a side wind. The wind is like anywhere from about 10 to 20 miles an hour. And I have 5 different projectiles, 177, because this is kind of the thing, you know, slugs in a small 177 caliber doesn't take up a lot of air, but the projectiles, if the slugs are worth the effort, I'm going to see what the difference in the drift is. And that, you know, the difference in slugs that we have is the 8.4 grain JSB pellets, 10.2 grain JSB pellets, 10.2 grain JSB knockout slugs, 13.4 grain JSB knockout slugs. And we had the beast, the JSB Diablo 16.3 grain pellets, to actually see if they hold up. If it's a weight thing, if it's truly a ballistic coefficient thing, actually, is it worth actually spending any kind of time shooting slugs versus pellets in windy conditions? Because this is it. You know, you see strange things when you're actually, you know, shooting in windy conditions. Like shooting in perfect conditions, just about every projectile will work, you know, if they group. But what happens is you get a 10 to 20 mile an hour crosswind. Some things just go berserk. You don't understand it. It just happens. So let's get out to the range. I'll throw some groups down there and see what we come up with. Maybe go back to the house and talk this over. Whew. All right, we got done. That wind was a little more. It's cold, 40s, probably more like 20 with the wind chill. We had 5 projectiles. I'm going to get you back home, walk you through the details. I couldn't walk you through the details on the range as I was shooting. I know, guys, it was a lot busier today. It was horrible, horrible weather, but there's a ton of people out because I thought they think that, you know, things were going to be good. So I can't sit there and shoot and talk to you guys because they're going to think I'm crazy. But yeah, let's get back to the house and really analyze that. All right, we are back. You can hear the storm coming in. Yeah, if you guys like this kind of stuff, like this comparison, I'm going to get into it. Go ahead and make a note of it. Maybe something else you're thinking of. Maybe some other comparisons between different projectiles, calibers. Yeah, we could do that. And that's kind of the reason why I like to run this thing, because you hear a lot of theory. You hear a lot of just rumors or myths of what's supposed to work better. But anyway, let's get into the comparison. The worst of the group, as you guys probably seen, is the 16.3 JSB monsters or beasts. 177. They were all over the place, and I've seen this before with this round, and that's the thing that I kind of don't like about full-fledged slugs, is you get this kind of behavior sometimes. If everything's not perfect, you get a lot of radical stuff that goes on when you apply wind to it. And so in this instance, in perfect conditions, this will group fairly decent. But I was watching the pellets as they were going out, and I could catch a glimpse of them. And the wind would hit it, and they're like, oh, they're just curveballing at a certain, 55 yards. They just destabilize. They just do crazy stuff. Now, people say, well, did you run it at the right speed? But that's still the kind of the whole behind the concept of these slugs, that you got to have 10,040 feet a second. 10,020, it will suck. 10,050, it will suck. But you got to have that exact speed. But that's very temperamental, man. I mean, do you want something that is that specific? Because on a bad day, you're just not going to do well. On a bad day, you're going to get something like this. So here we go. Let's go on to number 4, and that is the 8.4 grain JSB or Air Arms pellets. As you can see, here's my aim point all the way over here, an average of 5.25 inches. Yeah, it's drifting way over here. And of course, it's kind of a scatter gun. You'll notice I was shooting, there's a hill, some of the wind would come down real quick, and I could feel it just kind of curveball and push these pellets around. But again, 8.4, these are great pellets for field target if you have 0 wind. And people switch it up to the next pellet if they have, the 12 foot-pound stuff, if they have a little bit of wind. But generally, this is an accurate pellet in just about every gun you get. And you could see it was just getting manhandled by the wind. Again, 20-mile-an-hour winds, 15 to 20 mile an hour. So next one is the 10.2 JSBs. They're actually Air Arms, kind of same thing. Aim point way over here, but it's 4.75 inches right in the middle. A little less deviation up and down. And that's kind of the reason why I hear a lot of guys will take this for that sub 12 foot-pound, blah, 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 put it out there because it just handles the wind just a little bit better. And yeah, you can tell it's still getting pushed around quite a bit. And again, this was about 880 feet per second. And the next one was surprising. This is the biggest surprise, is the JSB Knockout 13.4 grain slugs. Now, here it is. Here's my aim point. It was going down a little bit further than I wanted. I noticed if you look at some of these other pellets, you can see side tears, which kind of a destabilization, something going on. You could see that in some of them, but 2.5 inches. So 2.5 inches versus 5.25 inches. And yeah, I mean, a much better group. Again, I was just popping these off really quick, and you could tell 13.4 grain. Generally, this is the best in the Red Wolf and the Delta Wolf at 100 yards plus. It puts the next pellet, you start noticing some changes, but yeah, at this point, I'll live with it. I could have probably sped it up. I think it was about 850, 880, and it held up okay. But the next one was the surprising slug, and that is the 10.3 JSB Knockouts, 2.25 inches from this point to this point. This is where I'm aiming, and the group was there. It's a lighter slug, about 890 feet per second, 880. Did really well. There wasn't nearly the amount of kind of like side travel where you see things getting destabilized or pellets kind of going side to side, but that's surprising against the 13.4s. As I mentioned, those generally perform better at the longer distance. But that's the reason why we test this stuff. I'm now curious to kind of run these through and see which one would actually work better at a longer distance in wind, because that's so strange, man. You start putting wind to this stuff and things happen. You just notice it. Curveball here, this there. So we're going from 2.25 inches all the way to, if you're using standard pellets, 5.25 inches. About the same speed on both these, and you're seeing a drastic shift. And that is it. I kind of am curious. You guys see this? Is it worth it? Is it worth the pain to do slugs? They're not much more expensive. They don't take a lot more air to shoot than traditional if you have a gun to run it. But I am curious, my next experiment, I want to try this in windy conditions against like a 25 cal or a 30 cal pellets, because we've all heard that, back in the day, that's how all this stuff came in. You got to have a 25 cal, you got to have a 30 cal to buck the wind. It's just more power down range. But now with these air guns pushing 20, 30, 35 foot-pounds of energy in a 177, is it really that big a concern? I mean, We'll see. I'm curious to get another 20-mile-an-hour wind, throw some 30 cal pellets in, throw some 177 stuff downrange and see what happens. So there you go, guys. You got comments, questions below. You can hit that subscribe button. And again, let me know if you want to see some type of experiment or comparison. We can make it happen. See you next week.